Payment schedule. The NHE Plus will automatically generate a payment schedule for us based on the type of job that we're carrying out. We can view the payment schedule at any point during the pricing of the work, but it's essential we view, check, and if necessary, adjust the details to our requirements before we submit our paperwork to our client. The payment schedule is directly linked to the work schedule. This is really handy as it means we can use it to manipulate the work schedule that's automatically generated too. To access and generate the payment schedule, we click the Reports tab located here at the top of the programme and click the Payment button. OK, if we scroll down, we can see that the payment schedule has been pre-filled for us. When we begin pricing this job, we're given the option on the Client and Job Details page to select the type of job we're doing. In this drop-down menu, we selected the New House option. This information is used by the programme to automatically generate a relevant payment schedule. The text here reminds us that the default setting for our payment schedule is a new house. If we click the thumbnail, we can view the other available options, these being new bungalow, two-storey extension and ground floor extension. Beneath each option, we're shown the stage payments that will be included if we opt for it. On both the new bungalow and ground floor extension, the completion of walls up to joists isn't included, as it wouldn't be relevant for this job. We can click this info icon for further clarification. At the moment, all of the pricing sections on this job have been allocated to the different stage payments. Just to show you, if we click on this drop-down list, as we can see, there's nothing available for us to select, because everything's been allocated. Before we look in more detail at this default payment schedule option, we're going to look at how we can create our own payment schedule. This will also give us a much clearer understanding of how the NHE Plus simplifies the complex business of payment schedules. OK, we've now removed all the default information from the yellow boxes in the payment schedule. Just before we did this, we saw that the drop-down menu contained no details, as all of the pricing sections had been allocated. If we look at it now, see? It contains all the pricing sections involved in this job. This is such a neat feature, as until we've allocated each pricing section in its entirety, it will remain in this list, meaning it's really simple to keep track and instantly see if something's not been allocated to the payment schedule. We're not going to do the entire payment schedule in this way, we're just going to take a look at how it can be done. OK, let's start allocating pricing sections. We'll start with the completion of oversight stage payment. The title of this stage payment is in a yellow box, so we can change it if we want. The title that's entered in here will be used on any documentation that shows the payment schedule. We'll select Site Setup from the drop-down list. In the left-hand column, we enter the percentage of this pricing section that we want to take. We'll take 100%. Several things happen. Firstly, if we click on the next yellow box, we can see that the site setup is no longer available for us to select, because we've taken all of the financial value. Here, we can see the amount of money that's being taken. And in the general info, we're provided with a note confirming that all the money for the site setup has been taken. Let's now add the foundations to the completion of oversight payment. OK, so we click here and can see the drop-down menu. We select foundations. Now we enter the percentage that's to be taken. We'll take 100%. In this column, we can see that because we've taken 100% of the foundations, there's no percentage remaining. The money being taken is here. And again, the general info tells us that all of this section of work has been taken. We'll repeat this process with the ground floor. We can see that the foundations are no longer available. We'll take 100% of the ground floor. There's no percentage remaining, the financial value of this is shown here, and the general info note confirms all of this section of work is taken. Let's move on to the completion of joists payment. Now we're going to take some of the walls. We'll select it from the drop-down menu. This time, we're not going to take 100%. This is a two-storey house, and we won't have completed the walls by the time this payment is due. But we will be getting in quite a lot of the materials, so we'll take 60% of the walls. OK, so this time we can see that 40% of the wall pricing section is remaining. We can see the financial value that we will be taking, and the general info has blue text that says remaining. We'll also take 60% of the scaffolding. As we can see, because we haven't taken all of the money for the walls, it's still available for us to select in the drop-down list. Now, we'll take 80% of the windows. We won't be fitting all the windows at this stage, but we will be ordering them all at the same time. So we need to ensure that we have that cost covered. OK, I mentioned at the start that the payment schedule is directly linked to the work schedule. We'll now take a quick look at how we can use this. For the purposes of showing you, we'll put in the lintels here, and we'll take 60%. Now we click on the Reports tab and go to the work schedule. We'll click the View Chart button. OK, so we can see that the work schedule is in the same order as our payment schedule. Let's just go back to the payment schedule. We're going to be carrying out some of the work for the walls. So we'll adjust this percentage to 45% instead. Then we will get the scaffold up. We'll get some of our windows, so we'll leave both of these percentages as they are. After this, we'll be doing further work on our walls, so we'll put 15% of our walls here, followed by the lintels, which we'll leave at 60%. Let's go back to the work schedule. OK, so the overall percentage that will be taken from each work section on this stage payment hasn't changed. But as we can see, the work schedule now reflects the order that we've added them to our payment schedule. So we have the walls here, followed by the scaffolding, windows, the walls again, then the lintels. We'll also notice that even though the entire work schedule hasn't been completed yet, it is colour-coded. Each stage payment has its own colour, and the work that's being carried out within that stage payment is highlighted in that colour. The key for this is down here. This is looked at in more detail in the work schedule movie. Let's go back to the payment schedule. We've now looked at how we would go about creating our own payment schedule. We just work our way through each of the stage payment boxes. We can change the titles of these if we want. We select the pricing section we want to take money from by using the drop-down menu, remembering that until all the money has been taken from a pricing section, it will be available for us to select from the drop-down list. We specify the percentage of each pricing section we want to take. It is best to enter the pricing sections in the order they will take place. The work schedule is based on the payment schedule, and doing this ensures that it's a coherent document. The payment schedule does provide us with an initial payment option that we'll look at shortly. First, we'll take a look at the default payment schedule that can be generated for us, as well as the other built-in features that ensure nothing is forgotten. We'll click the thumbnail picture and select New House. The default payment schedule for this instantly generates. Let's take a look. OK, so everything's preloaded for us by the programme. This is a default setting, so we may want to tweak this further, and doing so is simple. If we want, we can move the default settings around. So at the moment, if we click on any of the drop-downs, because everything has been allocated, we can see that nothing is available for us to select. We'll go to the completion of joists stage payment. As we saw earlier, even if we're using the default payment schedule, we can still change the name of the payment by typing our own preference in this yellow box. Let's reduce the percentage of scaffolding that's going to be taken by 15%. Instantly, several things happen. Firstly, the amount remaining is now shown next to any scaffolding pricing sections that have been allocated in the payment schedule. As we're taking the money for the scaffolding across several of the stage payments, and it's broken down further in some stage payments, that means we're reminded of this here, 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 and here. Also, we'll notice that we now have red warning text at the top. This text lets us know that some of the financial value still needs to be allocated to the payment schedule. If we click here, we can see that the scaffolding is now available in the drop-down menu, so we can allocate to a stage payment. It will remain in the drop-down menu until 100% of it has been allocated. Let's just put that 15% of the scaffolding back. OK, so the red text is gone. All of the scaffolding that has been allocated to a stage payment now states that all of this section of work has been allocated, and if we look at the drop-down list, it's no longer available for us to select. Another built-in feature is this. Let's increase this section of wall by 20%. Instantly, we're provided with warnings that we've allocated more than 100% of this section of work. Better still, as we can see in this example, all of the wall sections that have been allocated to a stage payment have been highlighted red, so we can instantly see which one we want to adjust. Let's just change that back. Whatever way we decide to generate our payment schedule, the built-in warnings will let us know if we have over-allocated a pricing section, and just as importantly, if all the financial value hasn't been allocated to the payment schedule. As mentioned earlier, we can build an initial payment into the payment schedule. The way this works is really simple but clever. The money for the initial payment needs to come from the financial value that's in the job. But it's impossible for the programme to guess where we want to get this money from. We need to tell it. As we've seen, we build each stage payment by allocating a percentage of each pricing section to it. Because the payment schedule is linked to the work schedule, we can't allocate specific pricing sections to the initial payment. This would cause no end of confusion, and the work schedule wouldn't make any sense. So instead, we go here, to the initial payment box. It's located below the payment summary box. On our job, as we can see, the final payment, completion of contract, is quite substantial, and that could leave us exposed at the end of the job. So what we'll do is reallocate £12,000 of this into our initial payment. So we just enter 12,000 into the completion of contract yellow box in the initial payment section. See, several things happen to our payment summary. The initial payment is now live and is listed as payment number 1. The completion of oversight is now listed as payment number 2, and so on. The total payment for the completion of contract has gone down by £12,000, and the initial payment is showing £12,000. What we've done is move some of the money from the completion of contract payment into the initial payment. So the total that the client will be paying us remains exactly the same, as does the work schedule. We haven't made any adjustments to the allocation of the pricing sections within the existing stage payments. We've just taken a lump sum from this completion of contract payment and moved it to the initial payment. We do want to make this initial payment up to £15,000, so we will take the other £3,000 from the completion of plastering stage payment. We just repeat the process. Enter 3,000 in here. Instantly everything adjusts. We can take the money for our initial payment from any stage payment that's listed here. The final item on the payment schedule that we'll look at is the all-important profit. We can control how much of the profit is taken on each stage payment. The easiest way to explain this is to take a look at the summary totals. Okay, so here we can see the direct costs for the job, and beneath this we can see the total of all the markups on this job, including overheads. This money here is what is referred to on our payment schedule as the profit. We need to make sure that all of this profit money has been allocated to our stage payments. Okay, so as we've seen, we can allocate specific pricing sections to each stage payment. The financial value that is shown here is the direct cost of carrying out that work. The markups haven't been added. Here at the bottom, we have a yellow box. This is where we enter the percentage of the profit money that we want to take on this stage payment. This is set to take 20% of the profit money. We can adjust this if we want, or if for any reason we don't want to take any of the profit money on a stage payment, we'd put 0 in here. We'll just change that back to 20%. The blue text tells us the amount of profit that will be remaining. If we want to go to the next stage payment, we can see that 20% is going to be taken. We can see the percentage remaining, and so on. Just to show you, if we add a further 10% to this box here, the text here goes red and lets us know we've taken more profit money than we have available. We'll just change that back. We'll notice that there is no profit to be taken on the final stage payment. 100% of it has been allocated across the other stage payments. All of this is fully adjustable, and we can set it to our preferences. It may be that we want to take the profit as early as possible, or spread it across the payments, as it has been done here. If we need any further assistance with the payment schedule, we can access the built-in help forms and diagrams. Just click on any of the blue question marks, or click the Help button here.